Okay, today we're going to talk about how to weigh your food on a food scale. If you already know how to weigh your food on a food scale, then you can just skip this video. But if you don't know how to weigh your food on a food scale, then this video is going to be very helpful for you. So to start, you're going to need your scale. You're going to put whatever object, a bowl or a plate that you're going to weigh your food out on, or you're going to eat it on top of the scale. So the scale's off. I put the bowl on top of the scale. Then I'm going to turn the scale on. It's going to say 0. So this weighs nothing, which is exactly what we want because this isn't the food we're eating. This is just what we're putting our food in. So we're going to start with something super simple. I have yogurt, blueberries, and peanut butter. So how I would weigh this out is I would start it at 0, and then I would put my first ingredient in the bowl. Now with yogurts that come prepackaged, it already tells you, well, it doesn't tell you here, but it tells you on the bigger package how many grams are in here already. So you don't necessarily need to weigh this out, but if it's to fit into a specific macro target that's different than what's already in here, then you will need to weigh it out. So you add your food to the bowl or the plate. Okay, and then it says 140 grams. So that's how much the yogurt weighs. So if your meal plan says 150 grams of yogurt, then you want to measure out 150 grams. Once you have your first ingredient measured, you're going to click tare, which is going to make it 0 again. Once it's at 0, you're going to add your second ingredient. So let's say your meal plan calls for 20 grams of blueberries or whatever your next food item is. You're going to pour it on top until the scale says, well, in this case, 40. So 40 grams of blueberries. Okay. And then for your third ingredient, you're going to click tare again. So now it's back. So now it's back at 0. You're going to add your third ingredient. Mine's going to be peanut butter. So I want 15 grams of peanut butter. So I'm going to go in the peanut butter jar, scoop it out, and I'm going to put it on the bowl until it says 15 grams. Okay? And then this is how you're going to weigh your food. So these are all the total numbers of everything I'm eating. It's all in one bowl. This is my total. Now, if you're meal prepping something like this for the week, let's say it's overnight oats, you'll do the same thing, but you'll put it in a Tupperware. And then in the Tupperware, you'll measure everything into the Tupperware and then put the top on it, keep it in the fridge so that way when you go to pull it out to eat it, everything's already pre-measured for the week. Now let's say you wanted to measure something in the reverse order. So you have food and it's in a container and you're gonna pour this into a pan on the stove. The best way to do this is to start with the object, the food that you're cooking, on the scale. And you want to tare it till it says 0. Then you're going to take whatever container that your food is in. You're going to go and pour this onto the pan on the stovetop. And then you're going to put the same thing back on the scale. It should say a negative number at this point. So that negative number is how much you've used. So let's say I go and pour the olive oil on the stovetop pan for about 2 seconds. I come back and now the scale says -10. That means that you used 10 grams of olive oil in your recipe. The last thing I want to cover is meal prep. So let's say you're prepping for the entire week at once and you're making 6 bowls of chicken and rice for meal prep. Now you want to cook that all together because it's going to be easier to cook all of the chicken together than one serving at a time. So what you would do is you would cook the total amount of all 6 servings. So let's say you're eating 4 ounces of chicken each meal, and you're gonna have that 6 times. 4 times 6 is 24 ounces. Then after it's cooked, you're gonna divide all of that chicken by 6. You don't necessarily need to weigh it out again if you've already weighed it before you cooked it. Just make sure that you evenly distribute it between 6 different meals. And that's the same that goes for olive oil. If you're using olive oil on a sheet pan with chicken, you're gonna have the total amount of olive oil that you put on the sheet pan, so what we just measured out here, right? And then you're gonna divide this by the total number of meals. So let's say you used 20 grams of olive oil on a sheet pan of chicken, and you are making 6 meals with that sheet pan of chicken. You're going to divide 20 grams of olive oil by 6 meals, which equals 4 grams per meal. I know it sounds like a lot of math, but we don't really need to get into the nitty gritty right now. I just want you to be aware of that's how it would be logged. So don't stress yourself out over the little nitty gritty details. What's most important is that you're measuring out the quantities of the foods that you're eating just on a regular, consistent basis. That's what's gonna help you get the best results. Hopefully that was helpful, and hopefully that made sense.